Hey guys, Ani here, and today I'm going to take you through the third training for the Kitsap Great Give May 2017, and that is the Marketing 101 training. So it's going to cover a little bit of social media and a little bit of everything else. So here's our sponsors. Um, not much has changed since the first couple trainings came through. This training is for you if you are new or inexperienced at using social media for fundraising, but not if you have no idea how to even begin. If you don't have a Facebook page, or you have one but have never really used it and you don't really remember how to set it up, you really need to go through our Facebook tutorial, which can be found on our YouTube channel. Also, it is the link to that is in an e-blast, your first e-blast that is headed your way in early March. So yeah, don't if you're expecting a boot camp for how to use Facebook and boost posts and stuff, this is not it. This is a training for how to use general social media in general for a giving day. We'll talk about why it's important, how you can use it. We'll touch on email, newsletters, and a few other things. This training is not the only way to do things, definitely not more than the tip of the iceberg. It's certainly not a reason to panic, but it's also not going to guarantee a success. So if you think, oh, I'm going to get the magic secret today that's going to help me get thousands and thousands in donations on the Great Give, probably not, but it can help you maybe hone your strategy a little bit. So the important thing to remember for just general marketing is that we don't start really heavily advertising until April 4th. Until then, we're kind of counting down to our active promotion period. And the reason that we do that is we don't want donor fatigue. So we don't want the donors that are interested in 3 or 4 nonprofits and that will be getting marketing materials from 3 or 4 nonprofits suddenly start to feel like, oh, I'm so sick of this. I don't even want to donate now because I've heard too much about it. After April 4th, you can start to, or from between April 4th and May 2nd, start to leverage your network. So your social network, your donor network, your nonprofit colleague network, and those networks of your supporters. Ask them to help share and like your posts, and we'll get to why posts are more important than pages a little bit later in the training. And be sure to mention them, link to their profiles by you can tag them. Um, we'll talk about what tagging means and stuff like that later, but just for now, we'll say linking to profiles just in case you aren't familiar with that. Yeah, so capitalize on what you have and the people that you know already. And you don't panic because you say, oh, I don't have a social network. Everybody has a social network. Think about who you know and who you can connect with now and ask them to do the same with their networks, and spread the word exponentially. So all of these things are ways that you can start interacting in your very active promotional level time period. So we're going to go over lots of ways that you can do all of these things. If you run out of anything to say about what you're doing, or you're scared you don't have anything to say, you can share each other's promotional activities and share social media posts that the foundation will put up. 1 to 2 weeks prior, you are really going to get, you're going to market very heavily. You're going to put out a full social media blitz. And don't give up. I talked a lot in the planning trainings about burnout and how you want to be sure you keep going and don't say, okay, well, I've done enough. I'm just going to let it ride. Those 1 to 2 weeks prior to the event is the time when you really need to be very active. It's also the time when most people start to burn out, just because they've been preparing and working so hard to try and spread the word about what they do. So be sure you have enough support systems set up. We talked a lot about that in the first two trainings. And make sure that you have your support systems set up so that people don't get burned out in the 1 to 2 weeks prior. Some of the things you really want to focus on in your social media posts in those first 2 weeks is right here. Ask questions that encourage comments. We'll talk a lot about post engagement in the coming slides. And one of the best ways to get post engagement is to ask people to engage in a conversation. Just ask them a question and see what they have to say. Um, Use your website to promote all your social media platforms. So make sure all your links to everything are on everything. And be sure to send reminder e-blasts those last couple weeks and get that giving form embedded on your website. You'll get an e-blast with directions for how to do that. And if you started off with a big homepage promotion that you launched on April 4th, you will probably want to update that a little bit and freshen that up and keep it lively in the last couple weeks before the event. On the big day, how to use social media. You want to share hourly posts on your progress. You don't have to, but you certainly can. We will be doing that. You share thanks and drop names. You can promote your own contests and prizes. We talked a lot about contests and prizes in the planning trainings. In addition to that, you can thank one another and um, congratulate one another on your own prizes that other nonprofits win that we're giving away, things like that. We talked a lot about why that's important to keep the activity and the excitement up, even if it's not you directly winning a prize. You're still showing a level of excitement and engagement by talking about your fellow nonprofits that have won prizes. Be sure to have a lot of visuals. Don't just try and make a bunch of text heavy posts on the day of. Share each other's media stories. So these are all just a few things that you can do. If you don't know how to host a Facebook event, I will go and either look at the Facebook tutorials they have, which are pretty good. The Facebook tutorials have been getting much, much better over the last year. So take a look at that. Or, if you don't like the Facebook tutorials and the way they do it, go to YouTube and look it up, because there's a tutorial on YouTube for just about everything. Several that you can choose from, in fact. So you can check out how to host a Facebook event. Some great ways to incorporate social media and live events. Say you're having a nonprofit open house, you would post pictures and tag and mention people that as they walk in the door. So someone's coming in to view your facilities and see what you're doing and how you pull it all off every day. And so you say, hey, thanks for coming by. Let's take some pictures. Can I put them on our Facebook page, or can I post them on Twitter? And if the person says yes, then do it. Concerts and art shows by kids, you could live stream those concerts or just take a video and put it up as well. Any kind of event with food is usually a happening thing. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, coffee, cocktails, whatever. Same thing. Neighborhood parade, post pictures. So here's some different ways you can do that. Always tell people you'll post their pictures. Never post if they ask you not to. Legally, if somebody's in a public place and their picture's taken, there's nothing they can do about it. They're just, you're walking down the street, there's a chance you're going to end up on someone's camera. But you don't want to have to whip out the legalese, right? You're wanting to keep people happy here. So if they say don't post it, then don't. Be sure to use hashtags with your pictures, especially if you're using Instagram, because pretty much the only way to really search for anything on Instagram is with hashtags. So definitely use the hashtags that we provide as well for the Kids Upgrade Give, and that'll help get the word out. Why does this even matter? Why do we talk so much about social media? because everyone does it, and this is an updated chart, as you can see. See here in 2016, this is who's using it and why. And I'm going to leave this up on the screen for just a few minutes because this got a lot of interest at the in-person trainings, and there's a lot here to see who's using the big 5 social media platforms and how can that work for you. If you're trying to reach a specific demographic and expand into that, what's your best platform to use? And if you aren't looking to expand but just simply want to find a better way to reach your donors that you know are interested in you, how do you do that? And that's this right here, this stat. They're these stats. And why does social media matter? Because just because a lot of people have accounts doesn't mean that they're using them all the time. Um, not very many people use LinkedIn daily, although a lot of people seem to have a LinkedIn account. Most people are on Facebook and Instagram every day, especially Facebook. So that can inform you for that paired with the last set of stats, where you want to put your time, which platform you put your time. And so now how do you get started? And the first thing to do is pick where you want to go. Niche if you're Canadian, niche if you're American. Find the niche you need. So yeah, here's Facebook right here. Top of the pack. So if you don't really have time to learn how to use a lot of new networks, it's not one of the main goals that you've placed for yourself in the Kitsap Great and joining the Kitsap Great Give. You just want to go with what you've got and get the most bang for your buck, then I would go with Facebook. It is important to note though that while this chart doesn't quite show it as clearly, Instagram is the fastest growing social media platform ever in the history of social media platforms. It's really taking off because a picture says 1,000 words. Instagram's all about pictures. So that's just something to keep in mind. You can see it's pulling ahead of the pack here. So how do you use it? How do you get started? Well, first, of course, once you figure out what you're doing, get your account set up. Use the online tutorials. Like I said, Facebooks are getting much better. YouTube has a tutorial for everything on the planet. And Twitter has always had great tutorials and great tools. One thing about Twitter is they really do have good tools to see how you can use their platform. And start building your audience. So, but definitely don't. I can't emphasize this enough. Take the initiative to go online and figure things out and see. The tutorials are usually very easy, and if you don't like one you see, there's the next one down the line that you can look at. There'll be tons of them. Use them, look them up, and see how to do stuff. Don't just say, oh well, I don't know how, and I can't get a volunteer, and I just can't do it. We'll talk a lot about building your audience, finding your content, make a schedule. You can tell I love schedules if you attended the planning sessions. Make sure you assign the responsible person and make sure you have realistic expectations. Don't get super excited and think, oh my gosh, we're going to just get a Facebook account and it's going to just blow it out of the water for us this year. It's going to be super awesome. We're going to get thousands of new donors. Realistically, that's not probably going to happen. Nothing's impossible, but it takes time to build a user base or a fan base in Facebook's case, and that's what we're doing now, Facebook. So use our YouTube tutorial if you can't figure out how to set your Facebook account up. Like I said, Twitter's really easy. LinkedIn's much easier to set up for Facebook than Facebook for a nonprofit. Instagram, etc. is pretty easy to set up. Make sure you assign someone to manage it. Don't just say, "Oh, hey, we're just gonna have people go in there. We're gonna have like 5 admins, and we'll figure it out." make sure that there's a specific point person that is going to be doing this for the Kitsap Great Give, even if they can't do it year round. Make sure you've got a person that is going to be their job to manage it for the Great Give, and have them go through the Facebook provided tutorials. With building your audience, the first thing you need to do is start now, like right now. Don't think that April 4th, it's all just going to come together. And certainly you will get a lot more attention by liking and interacting, because that's one of the reasons why the Great Give is such a cool thing, is because it does allow people to build a stronger fan base on social media networks. But you need to start now, getting ready for that, and start building now. Start by telling everybody that you are super excited to have a new Facebook page, or a refreshed Facebook page, or it could be Twitter, whatever, but we're doing Facebook right now. And they should all like it. And you need to remember, liking and sharing content, not the page itself, but content is the best way to increase your reach. You still want everybody to like your page, because that's going to have benefits of it's going to give you higher ratings. It's going to, Facebook, the more likes you get, the more little perks that you get with your page. So that's very helpful. But sharing content is the way to increase your reach. Don't forget that. So invite all of your personal Facebook friends to like your new nonprofit page, and then say to them, hey, all my friends out there, I just started this page. We're doing this thing, and it's going to be great. We're trying to build an audience. Can you invite your friends? So if you have 100 friends, they each have 100 friends. You ask them to invite their 100 friends. 10 of them do it. That's 1,000 people that have now been invited to look at your page. So you can grow it exponentially if you give it a try and be persistent. Tell your MeetSpace friends, staff, board, donors, put the Facebook icon and like option on everything. You should be aware that there are different icons for Facebook and other social media platforms that do different things. So you'll have a little F, the little Facebook F that's blue with blue background with a white F. That link will take others to your nonprofit's Facebook page to look at it. If you put a little like button, a little thumbs up, or happy face, or whichever one they've got now, it used to be a thumbs up, on, say, a newsletter, that will not take the person to your Facebook page if they click on it. But they will have liked that, and that thing that you sent them, say it's your newsletter, and it will show up on their timeline as having liked it, and their friends may see that they've liked it. Then there is a share button that you can put, and that share button at the bottom will actually share the e-blast, e-newsletter, article, whatever it is that you put out. If they click that, they will then share that document with other people that they know. It won't necessarily make them like your page or take them to your page, but it will get the word about your organization out. So don't just put the one icon. Give them some choices. They can go to your page, they can like the thing, whatever it is that you shared with them, the email or the newsletter, or they can share that thing with others. And as you get your e-blasts, or even if you just get our regular nonprofit news, and I try to send that out to all the nonprofits that sign up, because there's a lot of information that's really helpful in it about a lot of things that we do. You can always unsubscribe if you don't like it, but look on the bottom of that and you'll see what I'm talking about, how you've got all those different buttons. So don't just put one on there. Of course, like the Kitsap Community Foundation Facebook page, and you can join our group. This says technically this is a Facebook group, I think. I don't remember, maybe it's a page. But there is a Kitsap nonprofit marketing Facebook page / group, and you can join that. And that is just a place where everybody can get together and chat and talk and share ideas and articles about nonprofit marketing. So that's pretty useful. Like each other's stuff and pick your power users. A power user is somebody that has like 800 friends, is posting all the time, and everyone cares what they say. No one knows why, but everyone cares. If you can find those of your fans that are power users and really mention them, that's very good. Don't abuse this, but just say, hey, um, at so and so thought you might find this article is interesting, or thank them. That's the best way to tag them. Thank you for doing something for us. So by tagging those power users, all of their 800 friends will then see that they were tagged in your post, and attention will be drawn to your post and your page. So make sure that if you have volunteers or fans or interested party out there that are power users, that you use that to your advantage without being annoying about it. But again, have realistic expectations of what you're going to do with your audience beforehand. Don't get discouraged if you don't suddenly have 1,000 um, fans in 2 weeks. You'll get there. Once you start your audience building, find your content. When in doubt, you can share relevant content, whether it's news articles or posts that we put up, that the Community Foundation puts up, blog posts, anything that relates to your work that other nonprofits might find useful, that your donors might find really useful. Those are things that you should share, especially if it's something that your donors are going to think, oh, wow, that's interesting. And sometimes the best thing is when everything is really stressful and crazy in the world, just post a funny meme, something funny and encouraging, and people will love to share that. And people love it when you lift their spirits. So there's always that option too. And remember that this is supposed to be a long-term tool for your nonprofit, not a one and done kind of marketing thing and then drop it. So when you're looking at your content, keep that in mind, that you're trying to curate fans. You're trying to get people to have a lasting interest. So announce upcoming events after that are coming after the Kitsap Great Give. Share success stories of what you did with the money you earned, or just your general success stories. Start to build interest in what you do every single day. If you have a site that you regularly update, or blogs, tell people that you did that on your page, on your Facebook page. I would highly recommend creating a posting schedule and using Excel. If you are intimidated by doing this, you can go to the Community Foundation website, Great Give page, and in the very first training, I spent some time going on to that page, so you can watch me get on it. You can see where it is and see all the stuff that you can download. So if you did not watch that first planning training, I would go back and watch that, and at least the beginning part, and see where that is. And you can then download an Excel spreadsheet that lets you plan all of that stuff out. You can schedule posts or pre-posts on Facebook. See the tutorial if you don't know how. I would practice doing this late at night or during early work hours when most people are not perusing Facebook. So if you make a goof, the whole world doesn't have to see it. The next thing you want to do is assign responsible party, or ideally parties, because you don't want somebody to feel like they're, alone in a lifeboat. Be very realistic about their ability, time, and responsibility. If they've never really managed a page before, but they post a lot of pictures of their grandkids, if that's what you've got, that's what you've got. But be realistic about what they're going to be able to help you with. Also, the time. A lot of people that are really passionate about a cause will overcommit. try and use as much discretion as possible so that you can see, hey, wait a second, this person's certainly promising a lot. How is this actually going to pan out in reality? And set up a support system. They're going to need email reminders, phone reminders, encouragement. Stuff happens. Cars break down. Kids get sick. People just forget. Um, so make sure that you have a backup and that backup is also aware of every single detail, the same as the point person. Again, have your realistic expectations. You have to use Facebook and any social media. You really have to use it to be able to be adept at it. And you can watch a lot of tutorials, but until you make those clicks and try it for yourself, it's going to be a little bit challenging. Not too bad, but don't think you're just going to, dive in and it'll all be fine and you don't need to pay attention or listen to anything. And you have to be active. You have to really put some effort into curating content. If you're just randomly sharing stuff that no one cares about, it won't be as effective as it could be. And be open to changing stuff that's not working. Maybe you're doing everything right. You're not necessarily doing something wrong, but it's just not working. That sometimes that happens. It's just you just be open to changing what you're doing and be realistic about whether or not it's actually working. And then there's Twitter. So the basics. What is Twitter? Twitter is a microblogging site. Last year's training, the stats I put up said they had 232 million users. This year they're up to 313. So while you see these articles, Twitter is dying. It's going the way of the dodo. We'll never see it again. In 5 years it'll be gone. And you could see on my line graph that I showed you earlier that it's not keeping up with the other sites, but it still has quite a few users. I don't think it's dying out. Not this year, anyway. It is still one of the 10 most visited websites in the world. Many people visit it without logging in, so the login stats are going to be different than the visit stats. And while they have 1.3 billion accounts, it's only 320 million are really active. So there's three different things here. There's a user, there's an active account, and there's just an account that's dead. So 44% of those accounts left before they ever sent a tweet. So this tells you right here, this stat tells you they're going on to read other people's stuff. They never sent a tweet. Many accounts have no followers. They just tweet stuff and people might check it out and see what they're doing, but they're not. Okay, so should you start tweeting? Is this for you? Well, do you actively use a mobile device for social media? Twitter is meant to be an in-the-moment, real-time information social media network. You really cannot pre-schedule posts on Twitter. You can use a social media management tool like Hootsuite and have, there's some scheduling capability there. But be careful about doing that because it really is meant to be a real-time conversation about what's happening. And if you're not comfortable doing it in real time, if you simply don't have the time to do real time, or if your organization is not one that has really exciting stuff to share 3 or 4 times a day, then maybe it's not for you. Does your donor demographic use Twitter, and do you care? So if your donors aren't already on and you're not interested in breaking into a demographic of donors that are, then maybe that's not the best place to put your energy at this time for the Kitsap Great Give. And really importantly, can you handle trolls? And if you don't know what a troll is, a troll, that's someone who's just kind of a jerk. They go online and they will pick out posts, whether it's a blog post or an article for a news group or whatever, anything, a Twitter account, and they will act like the troll under the bridge. They'll say mean, nasty things, and they do this to get attention drawn to their account. Because the more attention they draw to their account, then the more followers they get. And so some people just do it because they have problems. They just have issues, but they literally want attention. They want cyber attention for doing this, for being a troll. There's people that may vent once or twice because they're angry, but a troll is a relentless horrible thing. And Twitter's famous for them. So there's ways that you can handle it, but be sure you're prepared if that happens, because not everybody's going to like what you do. Maybe you support immigrants or work with the LGBTQ community. You might get some hate out there. So be prepared for that before you dive in. If you're prepared, you're ready, you're going to do it. Of course, set up your account and build your audience. Twitter, again, has great tools for doing this. Use the Twitter tools. You won't even have to go to YouTube. The account setup is very easy. You can easily Google, just do a Google search for how to build a Twitter audience. Just type that in, and it will give you many tools provided by Twitter itself. And I would just spend some time exploring that. Finding your content, we'll talk about that in a little bit. And creating your posting schedule. Now, remember, I said you can't do this unless you are paying for a management tool. But that doesn't mean that you can't use Excel and say, okay, every day or every other day, I'm going to lay out a topic that I want to tweet something about. And whether it's me doing something or it's me retweeting somebody else doing what this really interesting topic is, either way, I'm going to pick one thing to tweet about each day. So you got to do that. Assign a responsible person. Remember, Twitter takes a lot of time. So have realistic expectations about what they can do and what Twitter will do for you. One of the things about Twitter is, maybe it's because all of the trolls are there, but man, can people be sensitive. So learn your lingo and educate on your etiquette. And here's some great links that you can use to figure out what to say and what not to say, and go through the tutorials that Twitter provides you. Building your audience. You could use a web application. I like BuzzSumo. I like BuzzSumo. And you can find out who are the, quote, key influencers in your sector. So what you want to do is find out, say you work with feeding children. So you're going to find out who are the big movers and shakers in the world using Twitter and feeding children. Follow them. And if somebody follows you, you should follow them back. So if you follow someone, odds are good they're going to follow you back. Favorite their tweets, retweet their tweets. If they're already a leader, then clearly they're saying stuff a donor's interested in. So find out who they are, follow them, and then share that information with your donors so that they can see what's happening. Join in conversations, but be sure to add value. If you don't really have anything to add to the conversation, then don't. There's a lot of people that just chime in to go, great, sure, love it, beautiful. Okay, that on a Facebook platform, that's great because that's going to increase the feed, or the number of feeds that you appear in. On Twitter, that can be kind of annoying. Just favorite it. Don't bother to add a word if you're not going to say something meaningful, but favorite or retweet it if you don't have anything to say. Tell everybody that you're on Twitter. All the same suggestions outlined on Facebook to spread the word. The same with, and there's a little icon that will take people to your Twitter page, and there's an icon that lets them retweet whatever article you just shared or newsletter. So you can use that button as well and use it on your blog posts and stuff like that. So what should you post? Shout outs to sponsors, staff, volunteers, and supporters. If somebody's helping you, whether with money or time or their career or whatever, sponsoring the event, mention them and say thank you to them. Use the widgets and apps to find out who's talking about your topics. Retweet our tweets and retweet each other. Follow what each other are doing. What each other's follow each other and see what you guys are doing and share that. If you know of a celebrity that comes from the area, or if there's a local celebrity, somebody that's really well known in the community that supports your cause, get them to tweet and retweet for you. Creating your schedule. Remember that Twitter, again, it's an in-the-moment social media network, so be careful of trying to plan out pre-written posts. You can plan out ideas, but be strategic about it. There really is an increased need for spontaneity. Assigning a responsible person. This will take a lot of attention. I would love to be able to do a lot more with Twitter for the foundation, but I flat out can't because I don't have time. I do some on it. Obviously, I put up a lot of tweets for you guys during the Kitsap Great Give, but throughout the year, that is really something that I need to expand into because it does take a lot of attention, and I've got a lot of other stuff that's going on. Twitter is not something where you can just put up a post and say, okay, I'm just going to leave that there and see what the kiddos do with it and walk away. You really need to respond to people when they tweet at you. When you're talking about consumers, 72% of consumers who complain about something on Twitter, they want you to respond within an hour. Like this is not it's Wednesday, time to check the Twitter type of a thing. And again, this is consumers, but it's a pretty safe bet to say that donors are going to react in the same way. So the person that's responsible for this, for the Kitsap Great Give, really needs to be comfortable being on it frequently and available during peak hours. And again, check your demographics and have realistic expectations. So email marketing. Is anyone using email? Yep. A lot of people. Know your demographics though. Most company, I don't have the stat for this to show you, I don't think. But most companies that are sending out email, the newsletters and product releases are getting response from the email. I'll have to see if I can find a stat for that. Maybe put it in an e-blast for you guys. But understand your metrics, and by metrics I mean who's getting the email, who versus who it's bouncing from, who's opening it, because just because they get it doesn't mean they're opening it. Once they open it, what are they doing with it? Is anybody clicking the links? Are they opening it directly from email? Or are they opening it from the Facebook post that you coordinated with it through your email program? The easiest way to understand these metrics is to get an email program, and there are dozens of them out there. You can use eye contact, constant contact, or just a couple of them. I think one's called vertical engagement, something like that. But we use eye contact. They're okay. I'm, to be honest, kind of researching other options right now. Their formatting is, good grief, very frustrating in eye contact. So you may be seeing some new formatting coming up in the next year if I move over from them. So that's what the foundation uses. But get a program. E-newsletters versus e-blasts. Remember that an e-newsletter is something that you regularly send out predictably, and has actual news in it on a regular basis, whereas an e-blast is a one-off announcement. So be sure you know the difference and don't confuse them, and don't try to take an e-blast and then stuff it into a newsletter when really it's a standalone announcement that you're making. You can do both. I would do both. If you have a standalone announcement, you could put it in a newsletter, but you may want to also use an e-blast to draw attention to it. You would need to have a readable design. We'll talk about that in detail in a moment. Have correct contacts. I, I've done this before. We get a new phone system. I put the phone number up. Oh, that's not my line anymore. So make sure that what you're putting in there works. The phone, the link to the email site, or the email link, the link to the website, all of it needs to work. So send a test email to yourself. I would do several. I usually do several and click. And even then sometimes it's like, I gotta correct something. I sent it out wrong. It happens. Nobody's perfect. But definitely do lots of tests and have someone else, a second pair of eyes, look at them if possible. And of course, you got to have killer content. So, what about design? How does that work? Again, I cannot say how important this is. Use an email service. If you are still trying to use Outlook to send email to 500 or more people, or even 200 or more people, you are trying to give yourself a heart attack, I think. Don't do that. Use a clean layout. So if you've got a lot of little swirlies and twirlies and foo-foos in the bamboo, colored background type of thing, don't do that. It's very hard to read for a lot of people on screen. The clean layout looks much more professional. It intrigues and informs your readers. Um, Make the textual elements guide the reader's eye naturally from top to bottom. So make it scannable. By that I mean nobody's going to just like read and read and read text and not know what's coming. Put a little table of contents at the top, even if there's only 3 things in it. At least they can click on one of those topics and it will take them down to the bottom, and then don't forget your back to the top button, and then they can go back to the top and read the read the table of contents again and click to the next thing. And all of my e-blasts I send to you will have that, so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. So make it so people can pick and choose what they want to read when. Remember, most people nowadays read email on their phone. So they may be reading an email or a newsletter while they're making dinner or doing something. So they might read an article and then put it down and come back later. That's why you want it to be scannable. Here's your font sizes and pixels and points, depending on depending on what your program you're using. I sometimes do a little bit higher for the body, but you don't want it to be too big because then it starts to look clownish. Ensure mobile compatibility. Most people read it on the phone. Use paragraph returns very liberally. The average attention span when reading something on a screen is about 8 seconds, because the human brain works differently when reading on a screen than it does when reading a piece of paper. And I'm not just inventing this. This is a neurologists have proven this. So the brain just works differently. You're doing something different. Also, there's the blue light factor when looking at a screen. So people will tend to get kind of wide-eyed and they bend over and their head dumps, kind of droops down. And while, yes, they're staring at the screen for a long time, they're only sticking on one topic for a second, and then you can watch their eyes kind of dart away. And then they come back, and then their eyes kind of dart away. So it makes it easier for your reader to stick with the article you're reading on screen if you're putting in a lot of paragraph returns so that their eyes will naturally read, dart. So there's just a little physiology for you that can make people stick with your articles a little bit longer. Use photos and videos to break up your text. Even, I don't recommend overdoing the stock photos, but stock photos are a great way that are just kind of fun to break up the text and sort of, keep in line with what you're writing about. Use a lot of white space, again, paragraph returns. Don't have text straight all the way from one edge to the other. Use a lot of white space around. Again, no background images. And this is important. don't put text as an image, because when you open up an email in your Outlook, say, and you notice all the images are a little X. So you have to right click over the images and say download image, and that's the only way you can see it. Well, some people maybe work for a company that doesn't allow that. You can't download the images, or they just flat out don't have time. If you have your information as an image, no one knows what it is. So if the date and time of your event or whatever news you want to say is in an image and not physically typed in as text, they won't be able to see it because they haven't downloaded the image. So don't use text as an image, or use it extremely sparingly. The art of the contact list, no matter how beautifully you design it, um, if nobody's getting it, it won't matter. So um, update the contact list now. If you've got this sort of crazy one that's been sitting in your constant contact for like a year and a half, and then you have all these other spreadsheets that you know, some people need to be off and on, and you're doing this kind of crazy thing where you're cutting and pasting and getting everything all situated every time you send out an email. Stop that now. Get everything organized and clean, and get the contact list ready to go. It's going to make your life so much easier, so much more happy, so much happier. Segmentation is your friend. And by segmentation, I'm talking about, say, your major donors are going to be a lot different from the people that only donate $10 a month or $50 once a year. And they're going to be different from the people that only donate time. And they're going to be different from the people that regularly volunteer. So there's going to be different segments of your donor list. Maybe you break it out by age because you find different age demographics respond to different kinds of email. So make sure that you have, even if it's only 2 or 3 segments, you're at least separating out your major donors from your regular donors, maybe your lapsed donors. That's a good one to separate out, because you might want to have a totally different message to your lapsed donors than you do to your regular donors. Your regular donors maybe feel like, what do you mean I haven't donated in a long time? Don't you even care? You don't even notice how much I give to you? So you might not want to word an email to your regular donors the same way that you do to your lapsed donors. So segment your list out, get it updated, get it segmented, and then use those segments accordingly. Specialize your emails so that each one goes to the appropriate demographic, and it has a message tailored for them. Again, this doesn't have to mean you spend days writing 10 different emails, but if you had just, major, regular, and lapsed, even that with specialized messages, that can do a lot for you. Crafting your content. So put some thought into the subject line. Most people, I I don't remember if I have this in here or not, the exact percentage, but the majority of people will not even click on the email if the subject line isn't attractive or fun or funny. So you want to have a balance of fun and urgency. Put some thought into what you say, because that right there is going to be the key. If no matter how great you do everything else, they still have to open it. Keep it short and sweet. Remember that on an iPhone, people reading emails on an iPhone, the subject line has fewer characters available to you than other phones, so keep it short. Include a call to action, which seems like it would be, well, yeah, I mean, of course, I want them to do something, but you have to be really specific. You have to include a request to share and pass on info, for instance. So say if you want to donate to us, click this button here and go to our website. If you would like to share with a friend and tell them about the work we do, click the share button at the bottom of the page, or whatever. Put the buttons in there, make it easy, make it point and click easy, and be really, really specific. So have your link, like I said, your buttons to your social media sites, to your website. Don't just put the links to those sites and pages. Also have a like button. Where else can you spread the word? So you've got e-newsletters, print newsletters, annual reports, um, flyers, posters, many things. There are tons of ways that you can spread the word. You're not restricted to any one way. If some crazy great opportunity to tell everybody about the Kitsap Great Give and how your organization is participating and how awesome your organization is falls into your lap, then take that chance. You do not have to just stick with what we do. But here's a few things. E-print. Don't forget to put in your email signature. And I believe I mentioned this in the first 2 trainings maybe, but I could be, it's all such a blur now that I've given them all 4 and now I'm doing it again. So I'm sorry if I didn't mention this before, but if you have the new Outlook, Outlook 2016, you will probably notice that when you try to put a picture in your email signature, it says that you can resize it, but you can't actually resize it. I don't know why, and apparently neither does Microsoft, and they're not fixing it anytime soon. So, um, for I have a logo that's specifically sized for you for an email signature. So you can go to the collateral page on the Kitsap Community Foundation website. Again, all those instructions for how to get there are in the first training. And you can download the logo that looks like it's surrounded in black. It's not surrounded in black, it's just sized for you. If you have events coming up, dinners and fundraisers before the Great Give, you can spread the word there. What are we doing? We're doing a lot. We've got bus tails, ferry posters, all the local newspapers, Sun, and every single one of the Sound Publishing newspapers, local magazines, and TV special, local TV commercials, BCAT promo spots and commercials. Um, again, the full insert in Sound Publishing, as well as an insert, the A&E insert in the Sun, aggressive Facebook and Twitter campaigns, and bunches of other little things here and there that I'm doing, working with Total Wine and More to get the word out. They're doing some advertising there. Reader boards. If you want to if you know a business that has a reader board, you could ask them to put the Kitsap Great Give up on their reader board. So lots of stuff that we're doing and that you can also do. Here's some tools and resources. Again, the logos, go ahead, download them, and go back to our page, to the Kitsap Community Foundation website, Kitsap Great Give section, and you've got a ton of stuff you can use. Your e-blasts that I'm sending you are going to have even more webinars, tutorials, and links that you can use if you're confused about anything or just need more. Here's our handles that we're using. The tags, hashtags you can use, and our pages. Remember, the Kitsap Great Give does not have its own Facebook page. I am not going to give it its own Facebook page anytime soon. We use the Kitsap Community Foundation Facebook page for the Great Give. And of course, go to our YouTube channel. And if you don't know how to get here, you just go to the Kitsap Community Foundation website, and in the upper right hand corner are all the little icons for Facebook and YouTube and Twitter and LinkedIn. So just click the little YouTube icon on the top right hand corner of our website, and it will take you to our channel. Another resource is the Kitsap Center for Nonprofit Excellence. If you don't know what that is, I would go here to kcnestrong.org and take a look at it. It's a fantastic thing that we started with Olympic College United Way, and basically we put on quarterly half-day workshops and one full-day workshop. This year, the full-day workshop is on social media. How convenient, even more convenient. It's before the Kitsap Great Give. So on March 23rd, you can come hear this guy who literally wrote the book on Facebook. And not only did he write the book on Facebook, but his specialty is helping nonprofits. And he has a great video tutorial about it. Well, you'll see what it is. It's coming out in your e-blast that I'm going to send you in just a couple days. So look in your email, you'll find it. It has a great tutorial explaining how to segment your audiences on Facebook, and we'll talk a little bit about that in the advanced social media training. But just definitely watch that video and check him out and check out his page on Facebook. He has tons of great tips. In do come out March 23rd. It is free for KCNE members. If you're an organizational member, the first person is totally free, but each person after that, it's $20 because we have to pay for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and coffee and snacks. Or no, wait, there's no dinner. For breakfast, lunch, snacks, coffee, tea, Coke, all that. So to pay for the food. So we feed you all day and from 8:30 to 4:30. So if you are an individual member, totally free. Pay as you go. It's extremely inexpensive for an all-day conference with an internationally known speaker. Check it out. Come see us March 23rd. Now what? Register. If you have not registered yet and you are watching this tutorial, this training, before March 15th, then go register, because after March 15th, it's done. It's closed. And if you didn't register, you can't participate. Update your profile. And if you're confused about how to do these two things, there is a tutorial for how to register and how to update your profile. Same thing, same tutorial. Go watch it. It is on our YouTube channel. It is on the kitsapgreatgive.org homepage. So go to kitsapgreatgive.org and register. And if you go to kitsapgreatgive.org, you will have buttons that show you how to register and a button that gives you the tutorial. Use the available tier, download one thing or another. You can contact Shane. Any questions about promo, about communicating with your board, communicating with your staff, about planning, all that stuff, please feel free to email me. You can call. This is our main number right here, and the wonderful Chantal will direct you to the right person if you're not sure where to go. Okay, so thank you very much. So give us a call, drop us a line. Don't be shy about it. And I will see you on the next training.